Alright, this is going to be part 2 of the Chapter 6 skip tutorial. If you've already seen Looney's tutorial on how to clip out in this room, you already know how to do this part. So if you do, you can skip ahead to the second half of the tutorial. But in case you haven't, I'm going to go ahead and show it off again. We're going to be doing a melee fly, which is where you start out of 0G and start meleeing while going into 0G. And we'll be able to sort of levitate off the ground. So you can actually start it straight from here by just touching the door and starting to melee. But I'd recommend grabbing this checkpoint first. Checkpoint is somewhere in this room. I'm not sure exactly where it is. So what I've been doing is just boosting off this door all the way down and then boosting back. Once we figure out exactly where the checkpoint is, we won't need to do that. But I'm just doing that for safety. So you want to start at the beginning of the door frame. Like I said, if the door's already closed, like this, you can just do it that way as well. Without having to wait for the door to unlock after you kill the boss. So you see these 3 gray lines here? You're going to want to melee until we get to the middle one right there. So, and that will give us the height we need. So right about there, I can start going. So it may not look like it, but I'm actually very slightly off the ground right now. And the reason that's important is because it's going to be able to let us get over some terrain that normally we can't walk over and get to some other terrain that is farther ahead over here. So the goal of what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get the center of that hole where the tentacle was in the center of the screen. So roughly there. And then I'm going to keep meleeing forward until Isaac gets pushed up slightly. He'll run into a slope, and that will push him up just a little bit. And once that happens, you want to stop. And once that happens, the melee fly will end, and we will be stuck on the ground and sort of tilt back slightly. So right about here, I go up a little bit, so I stop, I tilt back, so I should be in the right spot. Now what I'm going to do is sprint left and move the camera a bit until I turn sideways. And once I turn sideways, I'm going to pulse boost and hold down the button. And that should clip me out of bounds. Now, sometimes you can get stuck and you won't clip out all the way. And I found that through testing a bit, it seems like holding the button down will help. Although you will land on the ground to keep shooting. So just make sure that before this chapter or during this chapter, you make sure you have enough ammo. Or if you have to, don't use the weapon on the boss. Use like plasma cutter or something else. Because you do not want to run out here. But once you get up here, we just need to jump back to this tunnel because we still can't walk on this part. And the goal here is to aim somewhat low, so we make sure we actually land. You can't land on these vents here, so don't aim for those. Aim around where I did. Now, since we were on the bottom, we're going to want to run back up to the top here and run forward. Okay, so now this is the last part. So you want to just make sure we're on the top, so I'm looking down at the door to make sure I know where I am. And we want to just jump straight out like this, and this should put us back in bounds, or out of bounds, but back out of 0G. So now we're on top of the tunnel here, but you can see there's no textures. So this part's a little bit tricky, but it's not too bad with some practice. So I'm going to save my position with the trainer here just so I can demonstrate this, but it's right about there. So you see I fall, right? So once you get down here, you're stuck. So our goal here is to not get stuck down here and to land on an invisible wall up here. So let me, oops, save my position a little bit higher. Okay, so our goal is to not fall down there. So the way we're going to do that is you can start aiming down sights down here. I find that helps, but there's a little slope. You see I'm kind of sliding down it. There's a little slope you kind of climb up. So we're going to be getting up onto this and getting as close to the edge as possible. So I find that aiming down, walking forward until you feel a little bit of resistance just by tapping forward. That's how you know you're climbing up here. So we get up here, try to get like roughly centered in front of the locked door sign. It doesn't matter exactly where you stand. The trick here is that we want to get as close to the edge of this platform as possible. And it's really important that we do that. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to make the distance and we'll fall down here. And if that happens, you'll have to kill yourself with line gun mines and respawn and try again. So I'm going to inch forward until I start to see Isaac slide down a little bit. And when that happens, I want to pull back. And the position of where you're aiming is going to be a little different every time depending on where you stand. So what I've kind of been doing is looking at the middle dot of the line gun and seeing, okay, where is it on this texture when I inch forward? And then I start to, and I see where it is when I start to slide, and I'm like, okay, that's too far. So then I kind of inch back, and you want to kind of keep inching back and forward until you feel like you're all the way forward on the edge. So right about there should be good, hopefully. So now we just want to aim and put a mine pretty much right behind us. I'm just using the door there for reference, scrolling straight down, placing a mine, aim roughly somewhere here on the door, doesn't matter too much, and we should get blasted across. And I try to inch forward immediately as soon as I land, because sometimes that happens. That means I didn't get enough distance. So let me try it again. Do it a little bit faster this time. Until if we do find a faster setup for this, that's more consistent, we'll obviously want to do that. With this, I would say it's better for now just to take your time and really make sure you get as far forward as possible. Okay, let's try that. So again, I'm going to be buffering, sprinting forward for a split second here, just so I can try to inch myself forward a bit. Okay, so I'm going to save my position here to demonstrate one more thing real quick. So I've landed on this wall, but you don't want to walk too far forward, or this will happen. And you'll fall down. Oh, wait. Did I land on the right spot? I did. Okay. Like that. Okay. If you walk on the wrong spot, you'll fall down here. If you fall down here, you can't get out. There might be a boost we could find as a backup, but you don't want that to happen. So let me get back. So this is where you should land, right? And now you can see my aiming reticle is getting blocked. So there's another invisible wall here. So once you land here and you've inched forward slightly, try not to go any farther forward and just inch to the left. And you can see I'm getting pushed around the wall. And I'm kind of angling my camera like that because the wall also will fall off around there. Or I mean the floor, I mean. So you land here. And you want to just kind of inch around this invisible wall that's I'm in front of, and then I kind of want to go around it. Because once I get over here, I'm good. I can sprint all around here and I'll be fine. So the very, very last part is we got to land on this door. So I just stand next to it, aim, tap off till I land on it. Oh, well, I messed that up. But I was taking it a little too fast there. I may not be able to. The wall's here. Well, you get the idea. You would fall off the door, open it, pause buffer, and it puts you back in. And that is part 2 of the tutorial. From here, you just leave and exit the chapter. Hope this helps.